What's the difference between a business and entrepreneur? First thing first, entrepreneurs are the people who are solving a problem that people don't see. Steve Jobs used to say that we use things made by amazing people around us. We use a phone made by somebody else. We use this computer made by somebody. You really want to do this, or you want to do this because it's fashion? Because everybody around you is becoming an entrepreneur. Oh my God.
Because when you think about something and you say, you should go for it, and then at that time you are being very optimistic. Co-founder, and why and when should we choose a co-founder, and what are the different things we should keep in mind when we are choosing one? Okay, thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining and for checking this video. This is Afzaal Hadir, founder of Go PK Resources. And today we have another session for you to talk about the entrepreneurship and the challenges and problems and everything. And today we're going to be talking about one-on-one just for the startup and the entrepreneurship. And today we have Ammar. Ammar has been in business for last more than 15 years, and he's currently the founder of Final Rentals. So I'm just going to request Ammar to give us an introduction so we can move on to the question sessions. Ammar, over to you.
Hey Afzaal, how are you doing? Thank you very much, for having me on this show. So as you have mentioned, my name is Ammar Akhtar. I'm the founder and CEO of Final Rentals, originally from Pakistan and based in the UAE since almost 15 years, as you have mentioned. So Final Rentals is a platform for car rentals. We bring traditional car rental companies online. So you as a user can search, compare, and book online or on the app. It's an app for traditional car rentals where you can also order the car to your home, just like Uber, but then you'll be driving it. You'll not have a driver with the car. So it's live since almost 5 years and doing very well in the UAE. According to Magnet, we are the largest platform in the UAE with access to over 600 locations in the UAE and almost 120,000 cars. And we are growing very fast. We are also launching in Europe, right? And in Saudi Arabia and in Qatar. So it's expanding really well. And it's been 5 years. It's been a great journey so far.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, so thank you for the intro. So let's jump right in. So the first question, and very critical one. So what is entrepreneurship?
So the thing is, entrepreneurship and entrepreneur, both are very different things. Okay. So entrepreneurship is almost like a skill that anybody can have, right? They can think like an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is about solving people, empathy, and thinking different, right? So when you think different and your mind is always working towards the idealism that I'm going to make it happen. So there are people in the companies who are at the clerical level, for example, and they have this desire to make it happen. They are also entrepreneurs, according to me. Their mind is entrepreneurial, right? So entrepreneurship is about thinking progressively further, whether it's an industry, whether it's a startup, whether it's a business, whether it's a small problem to solve. That is entrepreneurship for me. An entrepreneur is a person who takes that path, who is burning the boats and taking the path and says, I'm going to make it happen. Whether it's a business, whether it's a project, and whether it's a very small thing. Because normally what happens, we associate entrepreneurship with an app or a website or a business. So the moment you say I'm an entrepreneur, people ask, so what are you doing? What's your business? The truth is, entrepreneurship is not an app, it's not a website, it's not a piece of software. It's beyond that, right? And it's an art where you connect people to people, right? So being an entrepreneur is almost like being a prime minister. So you have this job where you are saying, I'm going to get my cabinet together and I'm going to get my act together and let's run this country, right? Similarly, being an entrepreneur is like you build a startup, you bring people together. Each of them, they have different role, right? And you bring them together, like a gel, right? And you're like, what, let's gel together and let's build something awesome. And, people think that they're entrepreneurs. Many people are not. So just having a business does not make you an entrepreneur. So every startup is not a successful startup. The reason is the entrepreneurial excellence is not there. It's not really about making money. It's about making things happen, right? So entrepreneurs are the people who actually make things happen when they shouldn't happen, or it would not look like that they will happen. They make it happen. So they're entrepreneurs.
I see. So that means, the business and the entrepreneurs are different things. So if I would request you to, just give us a small, a background about, what is entrepreneur and entrepreneurship and what is a business. So because those are both different things based on your feedback as well as commonly known. So they're both different things. So how do you think about that?
So for example, when I started the business 15 years ago, Afzal, I was considered as a young businessman and not an entrepreneur, because the word was not very common. Startups were not very common, and we were small businesses, young businessmen, right? And then slowly I realized that, okay, I'm going towards the journey of an entrepreneur, right? So what's the difference between a business and entrepreneur? First thing first, entrepreneurs are the people who are solving a problem that people don't see, or they are just right up there, but we just don't see. So I'll give you a small example of Elon Musk. So he is solving one problem after the other. So many years back, he solved the problem of the fintechs, PayPal. Then he said, why can't we have electric cars? It was Tesla. Then he said, why can't we build cheaper rockets than it's SpaceX, right? And now he's saying, why can't we move, cheaply? Okay. Now they are building, Hyperloop, and they are also, building, how they will do the tunnel, the boring of the tunnels and making it cheaper.
Yeah.
That is entrepreneurial thinking, doing things in the same way that others were doing, but you are doing it differently and more effectively. So entrepreneur is a person with thinking different kind of mindset. So I'll take you back to also Steve Jobs, what he used to say. Steve Jobs used to say that we use things made by amazing people around us. We use a phone made by somebody else. We use this computer made by somebody else. I'm using this chair made by somebody else. I'm driving a car made by someone else. So what am I doing then for other people?
Yeah.
So the moment you think about, this point, what am I doing then? What's my contribution to this world? That contribution is entrepreneur, and that action is entrepreneurship.
Right. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So about the being an entrepreneur and in entrepreneurship, is there a I would say stage where you feel like like somebody is in the job environment and he's doing very good, but is there a stage when he feels like he should go for the entrepreneurship, or when should we realize that we're ready for entrepreneurship?
So the thing is, you are doing things every single day, and you are working, let's say under someone's umbrella, some other business, right? And it is possible that someday you will feel, I should have my own business, or I should start my own thing, right? So the desire, it is the intensity of the desire. I'm sure millions of people every single day think, man, I should quit and I should start a business. And millions of them do not do that. They don't jump into entrepreneurship. Right. So it is the intensity of the desire. Desire will be so intense that you'll be like, you know what, tomorrow I'm starting my own. When the intensity will hit that, crescendo, then you will think about becoming an entrepreneur. It's more about, I would say, passion. The driver of the desire, the driver of that desire is passion inside you, right? And when passion is at a crazy level, right, it will fail the belief any day, right? Because I've seen startups, they never made sense to me, but they are successful today because of the passion of the entrepreneur, right? So when the passion will hit that spot, you will know, when to, take that plunge. There is no right or wrong time for that, and it's very. I'm sorry, it's very difficult to explain. Also, it's a moment of spark, of brilliance, some kind of let's say a hint from the God. I would say that what, you are born to do this. So it's like that.
Yeah. So the next and most critical, which I really care about, is that when somebody thinks that he's good to go for the entrepreneurship or he should start something, then what is the good way to evaluate that whether he should go for it or not? So one thing that recently I did another session with Brian Howard from USA, and we talked about it. The one thing that from that interview was that he mentioned that when you think that you're ready, the first thing you should do is do not get that advised from the family member or your friends. They would lie to you. So something like that. I would like to hear from you that what's the kind of process when we can evaluate before we go for it.
First thing first, I've always mentioned that again and again. Afzal, and that is, if you want to know when you're ready, right, you have to listen to only one thing, right? And that one thing is have to be honest. Honesty here will save you, and it will save you time also. Okay? And honesty is on multiple levels. The first level of honesty is you are doing this because you really want to do this, or you want to do this because it's fashion. Because everybody around you is becoming an entrepreneur. Oh my God, man, it looks very sexy. I should become an entrepreneur, man. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Right? If you are doing because of that, I'm really sorry. You might fake it, you might pose it for 6 months, but then you will fail. Sorry for my brutal honesty here. Second thing is, you have to ask yourself, what do you want to do? Do you really feel from inside? See, the thing is, the body doesn't lie. You can lie from the mouth, but the body will reject it. The body language will tell that this guy is lying, right? So you have to ask yourself in the utmost, honest manner. Because honesty is actually the fundamental core value of an entrepreneur. The moment you're honest with the cause, you will be fine. You don't have to ask anybody. You don't have to ask if I'm ready or not. The moment you're honest with the cause, yes, I want to do it, I'm honest about it, you can do it. Without honesty, there is no question, there's no interview, there's no reasoning, nothing. So honesty is the fundamental part here.
Yeah, you're right. And that is very difficult, because when you think about something and you say, you should go for it, and then at that time you are being very optimistic and you don't do the proper evaluation that, would that be a good thing to work in the future or not? So that's very critical stuff. You have to be very critical, critically evaluating your idea or whatever you are going to do. So, honesty basically is the way to go, but that's very difficult.
It is very difficult, Afzal, and also there's one thing that I must, make clear here is that honesty and then evaluation, both are very different things, right? So you are honest about a cause, that's one thing.
Right.
But if that cause is what market needs, that's another thing.
Yes.
If people will buy that, you are honest. You are building a great coffee shop. You are very honest about it. But people don't drink coffee in that town. That's a different reality, right? But other thing is that sometimes you can actually bring people to your platform who were not the followers before. So I'll give you a very small example. If I rewind your life 13 years back and I tell you, Afzal, I'm making something where people will create a profile, they will upload a picture, and they will also tell me who their friends are, and they'll also tell me if they are single or not, and then they will chat. You'll be like, and you'll say, shut up, man, what the hell are you talking about? Today that is called Facebook.
Yeah.
It does not make sense on paper if I tell you. Right?
Yeah.
Similarly, Instagram. I'll tell you, man, I'm making one application where people will upload pictures. They can change the filters and colors and stuff. You'll tell me, man, nobody will use it. Why? Because we already have Facebook. But today that is called Instagram and people are using it. Right? So the thing is, like I said, honesty and passion can always win over, let's say, evaluation, because you can create that culture. And it's also like, passion of, let's say, I'll give you a small example of Hitler. So Hitler was so passionate about his dream. He was evil, right? Very evil person. But the way he sold his passion, it's crazy, right? So there's a lesson to learn, or, one or two from that part also, from World War II, as an entrepreneurial passion. A person who wants to get this achieved, no matter what, right? So the thing is, as an entrepreneur, a lot of things will not make sense to you. When you go for evaluation, market research, who will use it? If you go, 15 years back and you do a market research, who will use Facebook? You will come to know nobody will use Facebook. Okay.
Yeah.
So the thing is, these things change because people are changing. But honesty and passion can, go a long way. And remember one thing, entrepreneurship is not a 1 day or T20, it's a test match.
Yeah.
You have to keep bowling at the right areas for long enough to get the wicket. You just cannot change your line. You just cannot change the spell. You have to believe in that yes, my line is right and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. If it doesn't work, then you pivot, change your ways.
Yeah.
But you have to keep doing that, for long enough. Afzal, I have worked on final rentals for 5 years. There were times when I was down and dead. There was no money in the account. There was nothing. And I said, let's just screw it. I'm going to go and, do a job. But then I always believed, man, this product is going to work. People need this product. I think, it has potential. But if I give up, if I think it's a 1 day match, let's finish it, fail fast, let's go back home, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you, right? So
Yeah,
again, you have
and I
to.
like that you said that the test match, because in the end it's not an easy game.
No.
Sometimes you would be at the peak and sometimes you would be
Yeah.
down. And same way in the test match, it's a good analogy. I like that, because in one session you are losing and the other session you are beating the opponent. So it's a great analogy. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we talked about the starting some venture. So let's talk about that. When you think that you want to do something to address some problem in the market, and then of course it's not like one man show. You would have to have some other people as a part of your team. So one thing that we hear a lot about is co-founders. So how do we choose a co-founder, and why and when should we choose a co-founder, and what are the different things we should keep in mind when we are choosing one?
Right. So I have very different, approach towards co-founders, and because I'm a single founder, I don't have a co-founder. But I have studied this part, for long enough. I consider someone co-founder who has started with me from day one. Whatever the role is, like technology, marketing, or building it, or let's say even strategy. But if the person is with me from day one and has spent a lot of sweat and earns the sweat equity, for me that's a co-founder. Okay. If someone is coming after 6 months while I'm live, I would not consider that person as a co-founder, right? And choosing a co-founder is difficult, and you don't choose a co-founder. Co-founder comes to you. So if you look at all the big startups today having co-founders, you will realize one thing: either they were friends before, they started together, right? Or there was some kind of a connection. Choosing a co-founder, let's say interviewing a co-founder, is not my thing. I'm totally against it. It's almost like hiring somebody and say, you know what, I'm hiring you because I want to give you my equity. That it does not work like that. I would rather give my equity to the VC, right? Bring money in and hire smart people who can work with me
Yeah.
as, let's say, shadow co-founders, you can call them, but technically I'll be the founder. So co-founder, if someone has not started with you, has not shared the dream with you, has not carved the idea with you while you were thinking about that idea, he isn't the co-founder. And if you're bringing a co-founder after, you can check last 10 startups having co-founders coming after that they were launched. You will see that there was a backlash, there was a clash, it didn't work well. So co-founding is more like a very, I would say, job that is from the soul. All the struggling days, the first day, the second day, the third day. If a person was not there with you, he cannot understand the game. He cannot understand
I see.
what it is.
Yeah, I see that. But of course, at some time you are going to need a partner in the form of the founder, or in the form of employees who will take care of your business. And I like your feedback about the co-founder. That reminds me our very initial chat a long ago when we were talking about outsourcing. And the next question we have for the outsourcing, I know that you don't like it, so let's talk about that. Of course, you cannot be one man show. You are going to need employees, in the form of partner in the beginning. When few small startups will do that, they
Right.
will have somebody as a partner so they can share their skill set and experience. So what do you think about in the beginning when somebody starts the business, and what are the different things that they should think about doing in-house, or think about outsourcing it to some other companies who do it better?
Right. So the thing is, Afzal, this question I will answer from the tech perspective, right? So imagine if you're a tech business, right, and you're starting. So the first thing as a tech business is, if you don't have a co-founder who's a tech guy, if you don't have that CTO role with you, so and if you're a solo founder, I suggest to first test your concept, like a POC, like a proof of concept. For that, today it's very easy, honestly speaking. There are drag and drop website builders, drag and drop application builders, where you can get your prototype quickly, maybe in a couple of weeks' time, right? So I suggest to build that yourself, or either use, let's say, a resource. You can outsource, no problem, right? And get that done in the most lean way possible. So let's say a simple prototype, a WordPress based or PHP based prototype, where it works end to end, to show your proof of concept, right? And then you test it out, how it works, if it's working, if people are adapting to what you're trying to sell, if they are buying it or not, if they are buying your narrative, what you're selling. And then what you can do, when it reaches a certain stage, you can then start building your team, right? So I do not suggest to hire somebody in the beginning when you don't have money. If you have raised fund like pre-seed money, if you have, then I would suggest you can do a quadruple team where you can have 4 people working for you. There's a marketing, there's technology, right? There's customer support if you need customer support, and then there's content creation. I think that's what you need as a tech company. That's all you need, right? In the beginning, nothing else, right? That's how. Yeah.
I like it. It totally depends on the funds.
Yes.
If you have funds handy,
Yes.
then you can go for having those resources.
Absolutely. And one more thing I want to add here is that you talked about the people, right? The people who make the difference, right? So honestly speaking, as an entrepreneur, it's your duty to be the cheerleader, and you sell your vision to the people, right? So people who are working with you, they might not be the co-founders. It's okay, but they believe in what you're doing is awesome, and it's your duty to build it like a brand, like elevate the level of a brand. So what I have done with Final Rentals is I have elevated it as a brand. So people, when they come and they work with Final Rentals, they understand this is Final Rentals, man. Really cool. I'm here. It's really cool. So it's your job as an entrepreneur to build that culture. It's very important.
Right. Okay. So the next thing that I want to talk about is if somebody has some idea, they're doing something, and I feel that in our market, especially in Asia, where we see that people are a little more conservative. They think about some other people can copy their idea. And even the services, they won't be very open when sharing with somebody else. So let's say if somebody comes up with a great idea and there are no a typical competition for that, how should somebody protect that idea so nobody else can steal that? I know it's impossible, but I would like to hear your feedback.
So my feedback is very clear about ideas, right? If someone can steal your idea and can do it better than you, he deserves it. Okay, that's number one. Number two is when you have your own idea and the idea is original and you bring also the industry knowledge about the idea. So for example, Final Rentals, right? I understand car rental. I understand the industry of car rentals maybe more than anybody else in terms of technology. I've worked in this industry for 12 years. If someone steals my idea, he will need a lot of time to build these connections, right? So because I understand the industry, I'm the insider. So the wisdom will not be there. So you can steal my idea. The real magic is in execution. How do you execute the idea, right? Someone can steal the idea, no problem, but they cannot steal your execution. And if they can steal your execution, that means you are poor enough that they are full in execution.
Yeah. So that reminds me about, I was meeting my teacher a couple of months ago, and we were talking about this thing. So he mentioned about, he gave me an example from the history. He talked about the, importance of philosophy or idea and the importance of execution. So he mentioned about Genghis Khan. So that, his idea, his philosophy was not good, but his execution was very good. So I like that, the idea is not that important, but the execution is.
Exactly. And also, let me give you one more example, not from the Genghis Khan, but even the recent years is, take an example of iPhone. So when iPhone was launched by a computer company, before iPhone, there are companies who are making mobile phones for over 30 years. The Motorola's, the Nokia's, the Sony Ericsson's, all these companies, they're doing this from 30 years, right? And then came the iPhone. Then what happens? Everybody starts copying the iPhone, the touch phone, right? Because a company said, you know what, I'm going to redefine the level of innovation. So if you steal someone's idea, which is fundamentally not your idea, but you want to redefine the level and you want to take it further, man, you deserve it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's execution. Okay. We have a couple more questions, and this is, the most important. So what would you say the 3 top mistakes or biggest mistake that entrepreneurs are making in the startups, and what are the different strategies to avoid those situations?
So the first mistake that they're making, I'll talk about non-tech founders who run tech companies, right? Most of them, they come to me, for mentorship and stuff, and they're asking that I don't know anything about tech. Please tell me what's the best technology to use, what's the stack and stuff like that. The question is, if you spend 5 hours on a Udemy course about this, you can get the same knowledge that I'm going to give you, right? Or even more. You have to put some education in, some academics in. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours. It will save you 5 years of mistakes. But most of the entrepreneurs are not ready for that. They must do this. It's important. They must. Second mistake that they're making is they end up spending a lot of money in the beginning on making a product, and then to make it worse, they end up spending a lot of time to make it perfect. Oh, I have this Steve Jobs, syndrome. I want to make it perfect. My friend, you can make it perfect, but someone is beating you to the market.
Yeah.
Make it perfect. Don't worry. Let the customers come in. Let them give you the feedback. So without even having the customer's feedback, you cannot just pretend to be the customer and be the perfectionist and say, I'm going to make it perfect. So 3 very important things. Number 1, don't worry about the tech. It's all out there. Google it and learn it. Number 2, don't spend a lot of money on on making your first product or making your first prototype. Be lean as possible. Number 3, do not run after perfectionism, because perfectionism is a journey. It will change every single day. You just cannot make it perfect and then keep running after it, right? It will delay your thing. It will be worse than procrastination, and you'll end up losing it, right? So these 3 things: tech, don't worry about it. Don't override this one, right? Keep it in the middle check level. Second, don't spend too much money. Third, don't run after being the perfectionist in the beginning. You will learn many things.
Okay, so next thing and the last one I would say that is based on your experience, and what do you foresee that which are the different domains or fields which you feel like that there is a great opportunity for the future entrepreneurs, the young people who are getting into the industry? What are the different different domains you see that there's an opportunity to work in?
I think at the moment health tech is booming. Because of COVID, now people are thinking about the health industry and education tech, online education. How do you deliver the best experience, right? I think these 2 things, they can be looked upon and they can be innovated by young minds, and these 2 things. And then, of course, you apply a bit of AI, a bit of more innovative technology. You will see that this space will boom even for the next 2 to 3 years.
I see. What do you think about data? I was doing some session with a businessman a couple of months ago, and I asked him what are the 3 what are the different hard jobs in tech. So he mentioned about as the data is growing, and we're using different softwares for most of the thing. Like now we're having this session, we're using software, so we're creating data. And we're using network. So he said that for network, for data, and for software engineering, there is a great future because these things are going to grow rapidly.
I think data science, if you talk about data science or big data, I think big data was booming, like, you can say a year and a half ago, right? But then technologies came in and it is sort of very much, up there. But it is not now an overhyped technology. It is being used the way it should be used, right? And now we have very sophisticated languages to deal with big data, and using big data with AI like TensorFlow. Google has built an ecosystem where you can effectively use it. Why it was being hyped 1.5 years ago or 2 years ago is because we didn't have enough tools to play with the data and get something out of it. Now we have enough tools, and now I think engineers know what to do with it. So data is there now. It is being used, and it is something that is now being now a part of our daily, let's say, tech ecosystem. That's why it is not being talked about as much as it was before.
Okay, perfect. So that's it. What we had on our list, and I would just request you to give your final thoughts to the people who are watching you for the advice regarding entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs. So any final thoughts?
Well, I would just like to reiterate my thought about entrepreneurship. I'm a full-time entrepreneur since almost 15 years. I don't have a CV, and maybe I can tell you this, that when you are starting your business as an entrepreneur, I do not want you to start just because everybody around you is starting a business, right? Start a business when you have the honest purpose, right? The moment you're honest and sincere to your cause, you will find ways, and you will get, the universe will help you, get through.
Perfect, perfect. So thank you so much, Ammar. It was great talking to you, and great feedback you provided regarding all those questions. If anybody from our viewers wants to get in touch with you, what's the good way to get to you?
So a good way to get to me is, of course, you can find me on LinkedIn with my name, Ammar Akhtar, and you can find me on Instagram. I'm quite active in these two platforms. So if you have any question, anything, I'm open to answer. No problem at all.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Ammar, and thank you so much, everybody, for watching. If you have any question for us or Ammar, you can reach out to us. We'll include Ammar's profile on our YouTube video, so feel free to reach out to you.